Tonight on NewsWatch, overturning the ban on gay troop members. What comes next for the Boy Scouts of America?
Plus, how some pastors in Illinois are taking a stand against a Senate bill that would redefine marriage in that state.
And we'll take a closer look at the unmanned airplanes capable of monitoring people and places from high in the sky. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. After a long debate, the Boy Scouts of America have taken a major step. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. The BSA is changing their policy on who can join. They've decided gay boys can become scouts, leading many to wonder how churches and conservative families will respond. Dale Hurd has more in tonight's top story.
Supporters are celebrating after the Boy Scouts of America decided Thursday to lift their ban on allowing openly gay scouts.
This is what we've been working for. It's a small step in the right direction, but it's huge in another way.
We want every kid to have a place where they belong, to learn and grow and feel protected.
But some on the left felt the scouts didn't go far enough because they're keeping their ban on adult gays. Still, letting gay boys be scouts could turn into a major problem for an organization with a motto calling on young men to be morally straight. Faith groups sponsor 70% of units nationwide, and many, like the Catholic Church and Southern Baptist, say they will not give up core beliefs to stay with the Scouts. Conservative activist John Stemberger says the loss of such church groups could devastate the organization.
I think you'd see a mass exodus, not only of major denominations, but just of common sense parents saying, you know what, we can't trust scouting anymore. There's not that moral consistency throughout the program.
I've heard several boys say, I'm done. And they'll be within a year of getting their eagle. And getting your eagle is a very, very difficult thing to do.
I think that sexual discussion needs to be at home with the parents.
The change will go into effect next year. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And joining us now with more is Peter Sprigg. He's a senior fellow for policy studies at the Family Research Council. Peter, many groups have threatened, but now that the vote has come down, do you think there will really be a mass exodus from the Scouts?
I do think there will be a mass exodus from the Scouts, although I think it will probably take place over time. Some individuals, individual parents, some individual chartering organizations, local churches and so forth, possibly even some whole denominations, will probably remove themselves from Scouts immediately as a matter of principle in protest against this. There may be others who disagree with the decision but wait a while to see how it's actually implemented in practice, and will wait until they have a boy in their troop who declares himself openly homosexual and they have to confront the issue. Or they will deal with it as they always have and then wait and see what the national organization does to them. But I think over time there will certainly be a mass exodus from the Scouts, and it's tragic.
For those who don't leave, what kind of message will this move send to the kids who participate in scouting?
The problem with this, one of the problems with this, is it sends a very muddled message about what is and is not morally straight. Previously, it was clear the Scouts considered that homosexual conduct was not consistent with the pledge and the Scout oath to be morally straight. Now, while on the one hand they're saying that they don't believe either heterosexual or homosexual scouts should be sexually active at scouting age, if a scout comes out as an open and avowed homosexual, that sends a message that either A, they're engaged in homosexual conduct, B, they intend to engage in homosexual conduct as an adult, or C, they're making a political statement in support of the homosexual political movement, none of which are consistent with what the Scout organization says they're trying to accomplish.
Okay, Peter Sprigg, the senior fellow for policy studies at the Family Research Council. Thanks for your time and insights, Peter.
Thank you.
In other news, a memorial service will be held in Oklahoma Sunday to honor the victims of the deadly tornado that hit Monday. And people there are still picking up the pieces after a long and difficult week. Our John Jessup has the story.
It's become a familiar scene. A helping hand finds something of value and puts it aside for the owner. In this case, it's a family Bible. This is Southwest 14th Street and Moore, and everywhere you turn to my left and to my right, you see houses that are completely leveled to the ground. And on the property, you can't help but see artifacts that people once lived here. I mean, you see VHS tapes, DVDs, a dishwasher on top of a bathtub. Over here, kitchen utensils, all signs that this was a place that was once full of life, but is no longer inhabitable.
Like I said, I'm blessed. I've got help. You know, not everybody has that.
High school classmates helped Suzanne Sells, now a high school special education teacher, sift through her belongings. But the find for which she's most grateful is her daughter Claire, who was in Plaza Towers Elementary. The tornado cut a direct path through her school, killing several students.
They piled the kids like on top of each other.
A last-minute decision to move Claire and her classmates from a hallway into a bathroom saved their lives. Claire's mom got to thank her teacher on her last day of school.
I just gave her a big hug. I was like, thank you for not keeping him in the hall, because that would have collapsed on him. So I'm very thankful.
Kids are eager to say goodbye to the school year and a rough week as they look forward to a summer vacation making happier memories.
I want to swim.
We're going to swim.
Yeah.
Lots.
And,
What are your big summer plans?
probably going to the country.
Going to the country? What are you going to do in the country?
Ride the four-wheelers.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Governor Mary Fallin tells CBN News coordinating the response has been difficult. The EF5 tornado damaged 13,000 homes and affected tens of thousands more people. She says it's important to leave the victims with this reminder.
Things will get better. And through much prayer and much support, we're going to get over this. We're not going to go under it. We're going to go over it.
Helping to spread that message are volunteers like Lariat, who's delivering meals with Operation Blessing. He believes since he escaped unharmed, it's the least he can do.
Maybe there are other things that we could be doing, but this is what we're called to do. This is what Christ has called us to do.
John Jessup, CBN News, Moore, Oklahoma.
In other news, the head of the IRS division that targeted conservative groups has been replaced. Lois Lerner came under fire this week after refusing to answer questions at a congressional hearing. Congress and the Justice Department are investigating the IRS for targeting conservative groups that applied for tax-exempt status before the 2012 election. Lerner has been placed on administrative leave.
President Obama's speech on national security Thursday is being met with mixed reaction today. Mr. Obama took the opportunity to make a new push to close the Guantanamo Bay detention center in Cuba, a move many Republicans disagree with.
I have been one to advocate maintaining Guantanamo Bay, and my reason's pretty simple. If we were to capture some of the Benghazi terrorists who we know today are running free, what are we going to do with them?
During yesterday's speech, the president also defended his controversial drone strikes program, but announced more restrictive rules for such attacks, an announcement that is said to be well received by Pakistan and Yemen, the two countries that see most of those strikes. Well, the future of national security is just one issue facing the president. In recent weeks, his administration has seen its fair share of scandals, bringing up the question of his leadership.
That's right. Lee Webb recently spoke with Regent Law Professor Dr. Charles Dunn and his congressional leadership class. Dunn is the author of the book, The 7 Laws of Presidential Leadership, and we wanted to know how Dunn thinks the president is doing.
A president's legacy is largely determined by how well he leads, particularly in tough times. Author and Professor Charles Dunn rates 4 presidents at the top of his leadership list: Washington, Lincoln, Franklin Roosevelt, and Ronald Reagan.
At this stage of President Obama's tenure in the White House, how would you assess his leadership?
He gets a failing grade for presidential leadership, especially as related to the Congress. And the Congress, of course, the institution that passes the bills that become law. And that's where I have to grade him much lower than I would like to. In other areas, I would rate him much higher. For example, the law of rhetoric, he handles rhetoric pretty well. But if we look at the law of history, he's elected to represent the whole of the American people. He's the only person who does. I have to rate him very low on that because he has conducted a strategy of divide and conquer.
Dunn believes Obama's health care mandate is a good example of that strategy. A recent Rasmussen poll finds that 49% of voters view the health care law unfavorably, while 47% support it. That poll is echoed among Dr. Dunn's students.
He had all the votes he needed. He had 60 votes in the Senate. He had overwhelming majorities in the House, so he didn't need Republicans to get anything done. And as a result, you have this massive piece of legislation that has overhauled 1/6 of the American economy without any buy-in from half of America, essentially.
Dunn points to a speech the president made at a shipyard back in March when the sequester deadline loomed.
You don't want to have to choose between, let's see, do I close funding for the disabled kid or the poor kid? Do I close this Navy shipyard or some other one?
Dunn believes those tough decisions are what presidents are elected to make.
Again, look at those great presidents. The tough decisions that Washington made in forming this country and the presidency, the tough decisions Lincoln made, tough decisions that Franklin Roosevelt made, the tough decisions that Ronald Reagan made. Making tough decisions is one of the key criteria in determining the rank of presidential greatness.
And he believes President Obama's leadership strategy during his first term will come back to haunt him.
When President Obama won office, I spoke very highly of him as a person with great potential. But we have this big gap between promise and performance. It's a credibility gap. And that's what's showing now as his poll numbers are plummeting.
Lee Webb, CBN News.
The president's home state of Illinois could redefine marriage next week. Illinois already recognizes civil unions, but LGBT activists are pushing a gay marriage bill. They're finding major pushback, however, from the African American caucus in the House. The bill has been held up there since the state Senate passed it in February. CBN News spoke with Bishop Lance Davis earlier today. He's the spokesman for the Chicago-based African American Clergy Coalition. Many believe the organization's work has made the difference on the issue.
The LGBT community needs to know that we've drawn a line in the sand. We're saying enough is enough. We believe that they have the rights that they were asking for through civil unions.
The deadline for the House to take action on the measure is May 31st. Illinois Governor Pat Quinn says if it's approved, he will sign the gay marriage bill into law. Coming up, the mysterious disappearance of a missionary pilot.
You do not know. He's reaching for you.
I want my family back.
Go make some good memories together.
Crash landed. Son, if we are going to survive this, you must realize that fear is not real. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. Together, we will survive.
After Earth, rated PG-13, May 31st.
Remember the happy days when he said everyone gets health insurance. But now, Congress says 7 million Americans will lose their health insurance, and your insurance rates could increase by 200%. Some health plans even get hit with a 40% tax and over $700 billion in Medicare cuts. So now, we're really sad. But you can be happy again by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller, and over 500,000 Americans have gotten a copy. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. You can get your copy at Obamacare911.com. It gives you the tips, strategies, and loopholes you need to know. Get your copy of the Obamacare Survival Guide at stores everywhere for $19.95, or get the internet-only offer of just $4.95 and save $15. Go to Obamacare911.com to claim your copy now.
You have a son that you do not know. He's reaching for you.
I want my family back.
Go make some good memories together.
Crash landed. Son, if we are going to survive this, you must realize that fear is not real. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. together, we will survive.
After Earth, rated PG-13, May 31st.
Where is Jerry Krause? The American missionary to Africa has been missing for more than a month now.
His family and Christians around the world are praying for answers. Gary Lane has details.
Jerry Krause, a 54-year-old missionary pilot, was flying his turboprop aircraft from South Africa to Mali last April 7th when he disappeared. Wife Gina is praying he'll return home.
I want my husband back.
She and Jerry have served as missionaries to Africa for more than 25 years. Jerry worked with Mission Aviation Fellowship until the ministry left Mali back in 2009. They remained in the country, and Jerry took a job with a private aviation company.
My husband is self-motivated, very intelligent.
Jessica is one of Jerry's daughters.
He's a central figure to our family and just like a man of God, you know? He's awesome. I love him to death.
He's so solid. He just keeps our family together.
Now Jerry's family is having to rely more on God. Gina says her husband phoned her before departing South Africa and said he'd had some engine problems with the plane. She says she knew Jerry could fix the engines and then be on his way.
He's a little bit of a MacGyver. He likes fiddling with things and is able to get things to work. So he was going to do that, and he was pretty optimistic about leaving.
Then Jerry was on his way back to Mali. His wife and children expected him to refuel in Sao Tome, an island nation at the equator in the Gulf of Guinea. But no one could tell the family if he was seen refueling there. Now the question they're facing, did Jerry experience engine trouble and land the plane safely in a remote region of Africa? Or did something worse happen?
Though we didn't have any concrete evidence, I think rationally there's definitely a lot of different little indications leaning towards a plane crash.
No plane wreckage turned up after rescuers searched the Gulf of Guinea. Not knowing her father's whereabouts or what happened is the hardest part for daughter Alyssa. She says she's come to trust God in everything.
Okay, all right, God, this is all yours. You can, whenever you're ready to tell us where my dad is, that's awesome, but we'll wait for your timing because your timing's perfect.
Jerry's son Nathan says the book of Job reminds him not to blame God for the ordeal.
I'm giving praise to God instead and asking God, like, why did he do this? But not in a demeaning way, but just questioning and waiting for God to answer.
And nearly 2 months later, Gina and the children still wait for a resolution to Jerry's mysterious disappearance.
To this day, we still don't know where Jerry is, but God does.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
That's right, God does know. Well, our thanks to Ewan and Enko Van Bergik for providing the video for our report. And for more information, you can go to our website, cbnnews.com. There you'll find a link to the Krause family website.
Up next, we'll look at the disagreement over the use of drones.
Why are so many companies, unions, and organizations across the country choosing the Avia dental plan?
Because group plans start at as little as $5 per month, and groups can save 20 to 80% off of high-quality dental care.
Everyone qualifies, and there's no waiting or limits on visits to the dentist.
Call now and save $20, plus get 3 months free.
Call now and you may be able to save $20 and get 3 months free. 1-888-431-CARE or visit aviadental.com.
Remember the happy days when he said everyone gets health insurance. But now, Congress says 7 million Americans will lose their health insurance, and your insurance rates could increase by 200%. Some health plans even get hit with a 40% tax and over $700 billion in Medicare cuts. So now we're really sad. But you can be happy again by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller, and over 500,000 Americans have gotten a copy. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. You can get your copy at Obamacare911.com. It gives you the tips, strategies, and loopholes you need to know. Get your copy of the Obamacare Survival Guide at stores everywhere for $19.95, or get the internet-only offer of just $4.95 and save $15. Go to Obamacare911.com to claim your copy now.
Why are so many companies, unions, and organizations across the country choosing the Avia dental plan?
Because group plans start at as little as $5 per month, and groups can save 20 to 80% off of high-quality dental care.
Everyone qualifies, and there's no waiting or limits on visits to the dentist.
Call now and save $20. Plus, get 3 months free.
Call now and you may be able to save $20 and get 3 months free. 1-888-431-CARE or visit aviadental.com.
Welcome back. The president defended the administration's use of drones yesterday. Those are the unmanned aircraft that can patrol the skies and target terrorists.
Yeah, drones could open doors for new and more efficient ways of doing business, but they also raise serious concerns about privacy.
Jennifer Wishon has tonight's Focus Report.
The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan introduced Americans to drones. Unmanned aircraft capable of monitoring people and places from high in the sky. Today, some 50 government agencies use drones in the U.S., and in 2015, commercial use will be authorized. Some experts predict 30,000 will fly in American airspace by the end of the decade.
I mean, this does feel like something out of a science fiction novel.
It is.
It is.
Michael Toscano is president of the Association for Unmanned Vehicle Systems International, which represents more than 7,500 drone enthusiasts in the U.S. and more than 50 countries. Drones can be as small as a hummingbird and larger than a jetliner, outfitted with everything from cameras to infrared technology to weapons.
This technology is literally an extension of the eyes, the ears, and the hands of a human being. If you can think of any, like I say, dirty, dangerous, or difficult mission that exists, or even dull ones, these systems do it very, very well.
Jobs for drones seem endless, from capturing 360-degree images of real estate to monitoring and spraying crops. Some police departments already use them, and advocates point to the Boston Marathon bombings and subsequent manhunt as an example of how drones can improve public safety.
When you're trying to cover a sports venue that's more than 26 miles long, you don't have that many policemen, even in a big city like Boston. Having drones rather than big giant manned aircraft to try and cover that area to watch to make sure that no one is doing anything illegal or dangerous would have been very helpful.
But use by law enforcement is controversial. The ACLU and other privacy advocates warn that drones will allow for pervasive surveillance in a way that could eventually eliminate the privacy Americans enjoy in their movements and activities. They also warn of discriminatory targeting against Americans who challenge the status quo, pointing to historic institutional abuses during the civil rights movement and other times of political conflict and social turmoil.
And it's not just law enforcement drones that has some people feeling concerned. For less than $300, anyone can buy one outfitted with a camera controllable by a smartphone. It's also pretty easy to make your own using a hobby kit. This could hover outside your window, operating as a virtual peeping Tom without you ever realizing you're being watched.
The what-ifs of the technology are prompting state governments to take action. 39 states have introduced legislation dealing with drones. 6 legislatures have passed them, ranging from moratoriums on their use to a resolution commending the industry.
Now, you don't use the word drone.
I do not.
Why is that?
Most people, when they hear the word drone, they think one military, they think one hostile, and they also think weaponized. Well, the FAA, and that is a misconception.
The FAA forbids deploying a weapon from any aircraft, manned or unmanned. But what if someone tries to take one over?
One of the major issues that has to be tested to make sure that someone can't either hack into it or to be able to unintended consequence of having multiple signals being passed that it causes a disruption.
Then there are disagreements over whether the Fourth Amendment protects Americans from unreasonable searches that could come from an unsuspecting eye in the sky.
I have a confidence that our judicial review process would work and will settle that gray area that's left in the middle, and we'll settle it with a correct balance of security and civil liberties.
Time will judge the benefits and risks, but the technology isn't going back into its box. By 2017, the drone industry is expected to employ at least 70,000 people, with an economic impact of nearly $14 billion.
The sky is the limit.
The sky's the limit of what you'll be able to see.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Sky's the limit. No pun intended, Jennifer. Well, up next, never forget honoring the men 40 years after being held captive in enemy territory.
Ow, my feet hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hat pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes. Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, callous feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts. Be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
All right, well, it's the perfect event for Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, the Nixon Presidential Library in Yorba Linda, California is hosting a reunion of Vietnam POW vets. It's the largest reunion since President Nixon hosted a homecoming dinner for them at the White House. Tonight's dinner marks 40 years since their release from captivity. Organizers are taking great care to recreate the black tie affair.
That dinner at the White House still holds the record as the biggest state dinner ever held in White House.
Brings it all back home, but it's been so long, but it's still a happy feeling to have that all behind you.
It reminds me of the day, the wonderful day that he came home.
It's amazing. This is just an amazing day.
That's great. Well, many of the vets are now in their 60s, and they say it's an honor to still be recognized after all these years. And that is so true, especially how when they first came home, a lot of the Vietnam vets, the country turned its back on them.
I know,
so great
sad.
to see them recognized. That's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Have a great weekend. God bless you.